As far as abortion goes, do you feel government should play any role regarding how many abortions a woman can have?
No, no. Um, the, the question has to like kind of broaden. Obviously, citizens should have the right to do whatever they want and many times that they want, and they don't have to register with anyone who they are, how many times they're having an abortion or when they're having an abortion. I think you mean the question as it relates to people on public assistance or using some kind of public health care or private health care to get an abortion. If you're using private health care and your health care provides you with an abortion or pays for an abortion or whatever else, there shouldn't be any limit. And I don't believe there is. Now, people on public assistance who are using some kind of government health care because they're poor or they're handicapped or whatever the reason why they're on public assistance, I think there's a segment of the public that wants to regulate them, limit them. I don't think the government should be able to do that, and I think it becomes a slippery slope when you allow something like that. Each person receiving assistance from the state or the government, whether it be in food stamps, welfare, or health insurance, has a responsibility to use those funds correctly or use those funds responsibly.
Okay.
If the government wants to set regulations in certain ways to make sure that people do that, they should be able to do that. But it should always err on the side of the people have the freedom to do what they want. They shouldn't be limited to not do it. I'll give you an example. Someone would say, okay, after 2 abortions or 3 abortions in a certain amount of time, the government shouldn't have to pay for it. But if a person's on public assistance as it is,
Yeah.
a child is far more expensive to the state than the abortion would be.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
So
Okay.
you're not saving any money. Those decisions are usually based on people's moral feelings, how they feel about a person having multiple abortions. So once you talk about that, once it gets to the line of how you feel, how we feel morally or personally about that person having abortions, the financial conversation comes out of it.
Gotcha.
A child is definitely more expensive than an abortion. Over the course of that child's life on public assistance with that mother, that child is going to cost the state way more money than what the abortion would have cost. So the money argument is out of it. The moral argument, that's what the Constitution is for. The Constitution is to defend ourselves from each other. My moral beliefs should not affect your right and your freedom to live the way you want to live.
Okay. Okay.
The closest thing to regulation I would do, but I would want to see this across the board. I wouldn't single out abortion on this issue. The state should realistically be able to set some type of limitation on your actions in the form of a kind of penalty. Okay? And I'm just throwing this out there. If the state decides that they will pay for an abortion and they'll pay for, let's say, 1 abortion in a year or 1 abortion every 2 years, anything exceeding that, the cost of that should come out of that same recipient's tax return or some other way. Remember, this is a person receiving public assistance.
Exactly.
Okay?
Yeah.
The money they're receiving is coming from the taxpayers regardless. And so they should be, if they're going to abuse that free money and abuse those services, then the state should pull back on those services in some other way. Right? You can get as many as you like, but at some point, right, the government is going to offset its cost. So if it costs an additional $350 to give you that 3rd abortion this year, then the government is going to make that money back by not giving you that equivalent in your tax return.
Okay. That makes sense.
Right?
Yeah.
And remember, a tax return is not like, they're not going to cut off your food. They're not going to cut off, your housing assistance. They're not going to cut it off in some way that makes you destitute or hurts your living. You're just not going to get the extra money you'd be getting on a tax return.
Okay. I see what you're saying. Next question I should have asked you before we got into the second question, but next question, are you pro-life or pro-choice?
I think like most people, I'm pro-choice, but I would be comfortable with seeing some changes in the law as long as it still was always legal for a person to get an abortion when they wanted to.
Next question. Help me kind of tie into Democrats and Republicans and how they view abortion and how politics comes into play. You kind of mentioned it previously. Kind of.
Well, when you look at politically in our country, again, these are, it has to be understood, the extreme left and extreme right, or the extremes in any position, are the people that are usually fighting, or the loudest.
Okay.
And because they're the loudest and they're the most aggressive, they exercise their political rights. When the majority of people are usually somewhere within the middle of those two extreme positions.
Yeah.
And since they're moderates, they really don't have a voice, or they don't express their voice. So they're forced to choose liberal or conservative.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
All right, that's first. So
Okay.
I think it should at some point be stated that whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, you're really not speaking for the majority of people. There is a huge unspoken majority that really is not participating in this discussion.
Okay. I think what worries me a little is when you start to use the word abortion and illegal, because when you bring those two together, people are going to find a way to get things done, regardless. They're going to find a way. And if you make abortion illegal, that 16, 17, 18, that 30-year-old person is going to find a doctor, find someone that's going to get this done.
I think that's true. That's
Okay.
true. I think when things are illegal, people find a way to get it, no matter what it is. Anything that's illegal inherently creates a market for it. So people are going to do that.
Okay.
On the other flip side of that argument is people saying by making it legal and putting no regulation on it, people are going to do it and use it and abuse it and stuff
Okay,
like
you mean
that.
abuse? Okay.
Right?
Okay.
That's the concept of being in a free society. Every free society has more crime and more issues than societies that are not free. That comes with freedom. People have the freedom to do what they want and abuse things.
The pros
But
and
who,
cons.
right,
Okay.
who are they abusing? If a person has the freedom to do whatever they want, then they should abuse themselves. They don't have the right to abuse me. But it's
Okay.
not my business if they abuse themselves.
Okay.
Again, we come back into the moral aspect of our society where we want to control other people. I want to make sure you don't hurt yourself.
Well, I want to thank you. Definitely gave us some insight. You got us thinking, which is really what this program is about. So on that note, we're going to come to an end. Thank you.
Thank you.